We're solving problem 1704. Determine if string halves are alike. The problem statement is you are given a string S of even length. Split this string into two halves of equal lengths and let A be the first half and B be the second half. Two strings are alike if they have the same number of vowels in it. It doesn't matter if it is uppercase or lowercase. Return true if A and B are alike, otherwise return false. If we look at example number 1, the string is book, B-O-O-K, and if we split this into half, the first half is B-O and the second half is O-K, and between the two halved strings, the number of vowels is the same, which is 1. Hence, we return true. In the second example, the input is textbook. If we break it into half, we have text and the other half is book. And if we look at the number of vowels, in the first one, we only have one, which is E, but in the second one, we have two O's. Hence, there is a mismatch and we will return false. It is an easy problem, so I do not think it will take a lot of time to understand the problem and come up with the best possible solution. Now let's switch to whiteboard and talk about the solution. Let's take textbook as our example. Before we start talking about the solution, there are a couple of information that is given to us in the problem statement which we need to note of before we start implementing. The first is the vowels are case insensitive, so we do not have to worry about if it is uppercase or lowercase. And the second is any vowels will do. If we have a vowel I in the first half and E in the second half, it is still equal and we need to return true. So it doesn't matter if they match or not as long as the count matches. With that in mind, let's start thinking about the solution. The simplest solution and the most efficient one would be to have two counters, a starting index and the ending index. The first SI index will start with 0 from the start of the string and the ending index will start from the end of the string. So that will be s dot length minus 1. And along with that, we will maintain a counter to just keep a track of how many vowels we have come across, and which will be set to 0. Because we are using two counters and we need to break this whole string into half, we can use both of the counters at the same time and reduce our time complexity by half. We will start with a while loop si is less than ei. Because s is starting from the first character in the string and the e is going to point at the last index, it's when they cross each other. And at that point, we will know that we are at the center of the string and we don't have to continue the iteration. So starting with this, so si is 0, ei is, in this case, let's say it's 7 because we have 8 characters. We will first check if my character pointed by the index si, is it a vowel or not. The S char is T, not a vowel, so I will do nothing. Now let's check if the pointer pointed by EI, is it a vowel or not, because it is pointing to this character. So in either case, nothing can be done. At the end of the iteration, we will just increment the SI counter by 1 and EI pointer minus 1. In the next loop, my S character is pointing at E, which is a vowel. So I will increment my counter by 1. Now let's check for the end pointer. Now this is pointing at O, which is again a vowel, but because it is pointed by the end pointer, we will decrement the counter. The reason is we need to compare and make sure that the number of vowels in the second half equals to the first half. So the expectation is after the iteration is done, this counter will be 0. If it is 0, it means there are equal number of vowels. So here I will do a decrement on my counter because I found one more vowel at the second half, and then continue with the incrementing the pointers. Similarly, I will continue to the next one. So here I am at X, which is not a vowel, so we don't have to increment the counter. My end pointer is pointing at O, which is a vowel, so I will decrement my counter. So now my counter will become minus 1. Because earlier we did plus 1 and minus 1, which resulted in 0, and now we are doing a minus 1. So my current value is minus 1, and we will increment our pointers. At the end, my counter will be -1 because there are no more vowels in the remaining strings, and because this is not equal to 0, I will return false. If you were to look at the time complexity, it is going to be O of n by 2, where n is the length of the string, and our space complexity is going to be O of 1, because we are maintaining these three variables to maintain the pointer and the count of number of vowels. I hope you were able to understand this explanation. Let me show you how we can implement this using C#. Here is the equivalent solution in C#. In this method, I am initializing two pointers, sindex and eindex, to point to the start and the end of the string. Then I have initialized a hash set of type character with all of the vowels that we need to identify, and I have this variable counter which will maintain the count of number of vowels that we came across. Then I start with this while loop which will run until the s index is less than e index. The next step is where I am checking the value of the character pointed by the s index. If it is a vowel, then I am incrementing my counter. Then I am checking the character pointed by the e index. If it is a vowel, then I am decrementing the count. And after this both calculations are done, then I am incrementing my starting index and decrementing the end index. This iteration will continue until this condition of s index less than e index is met. After the while loop is done, I am comparing the count. If it is equals to 0, then we have equal number of vowels in both the halves and I am returning true, else I will return false. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you were able to understand my explanation and this solution. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to hear your thoughts. This solution is available on my GitHub repository. The link will be there in the description below. Feel free to check that out, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.